Welcome. To have an idea of the reach of Vedic mathematics as basis base of technology, let us pose to ourselves as to the format of the universe chased by Vedas. Vedic chased universe format is the aspect upon which we are going to concentrate today. Vedas chased the solar universe. This chase is of solar universe as manifested creations of chatuspeeth format. Here today I am presuming that we are already well exposed to chatuspeeth format. There is a manifestation of 8 directional frame for the existence phenomenon of solar universe. So this feature as well is to be taken as presumed feature, as that the manifestation of existence phenomenon of our solar universe is of 8 directional frame. The transcendental code values of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras are parallel manifestations of features and values of 8 directional frame. As such, the focus today is as to the transcendental code values of the text of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras. Today, we will be blissfully exposed as that the transcendental code values of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras text is parallel with the manifestation features of 8 directional frame. Sadkhas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with the universe chased by Vedas shall comprehend and imbibe the values and features of Table 1 of Ganita Sutras, Table 2 of Ganita Upsutras, and Table 3 of integrated format of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras. Here is a glimpse of the chatuspeeth. This peeth, as it is manifesting 8 directional frame. 4 directions, east, west, northwest, and 4 subdirections, northeast and other connected subdirections. If we are well acquainted with this 8 directional frame, the relevant formulations, Purv for east, Paschim for west, and so on. And then when we will be having transcendental code values, these formulations, then it will help us to be parallel with the Vedic systems, Vedic approach, Vedic comprehension, and the way Vedas are approaching the existence phenomenon of our solar universe. Therefore, today, our focus is going to be as to how 8 directional frame manifests along the chatuspeeth format as quadruple directions, east, west, north, south, and quadruple subdirections, northeast, and so on. The 8 directional frame as a set of transcendental code value of 8 formulations for 4 directions and 4 subdirections like Purv, Paschim, Uttar, Dakshin, Ishan Kon, Agin Kon, Vayve Kon, and Naritya Kon. These 8 formulations as such are the basic formulations. The transcendental code values of these 8 formulations are tabulated. So Pur as formulation is of transcendental code value 21, Paschim as of 22, Uttar as of 16, Dakshin as of 24, Ishan Kon of 33, Agni Kon as 30, Vayve Kon 34, and Nairitya Kon 42, making grand summation value 222. If we are having the difference values of these 8 values, these 8 transcendental code values, then we will be reaching at the outer circle as is depicted on the computer screen. The difference values, say, of north 16 and northeast 30 is 14. And like that, we will be reaching at 8 gap values of the difference values of these 8 values of these 8 formulations. Now, the inner circle, as is of transcendental code value, these formulations, their grand summation value is 222. However, the 8 gaps or difference values set, which makes the outer circle, is of grand summation value 112. So this inner circle value 222 and outer circle value 112 are 2 basic ranges of values. When we will be well acquainted with these values and when we will associate them with these formulations and when we will place them as a directional frame of 4 directions and 8 and 4 subdirections, then it will be blissful to see that this format, this 8 directional format, is the manifestation format of our solar universe. Therefore, now let us proceed ahead to see as to how the transcendental code values of Ganita Sutras, Upsutras are having parallel manifestations. Let us concentrate upon table 1. It is about Sthapatya format, geometric formats of transcendental code values of Ganita Sutras. Ganita Sutra 1, Ekadhiken Purvel, is of transcendental code value 75. Now let us concentrate upon the 8 directional frame. See the Ishan Kon, the northeast direction, and west-south direction. These are leading values 33 and 42. The transcendental code value of Ishan Kon is 33 and transcendental code value of Nairitya Kon is 42. 33 plus 42 is 75. Therefore, the manifestation of the transcendental code value of the text of Ganita Sutra 1 Ekadhiken is a 2-directional, 2 subdirectional format, Ishan Kon and Nairitya Kon. Therefore, the sadhakas have to be parallel with such manifestation, and sequentially we have to proceed ahead, and we'll see that Ganita Sutra 2, Nikhlim Navasta Charmam Dashata, this text is of transcendental code value 107, and the directional part, north, south 1624, and Ishan cone and Vaiva cone is making grand summation value 16, 24, 33, 34, and 107. Let us sit comfortably and see as to how Ganita Sutra 1 is having manifestation for its transcendental code value as a two subdirectional flow of light, of Jyoti, from orb of the sun towards Ishan cone, northeast direction, and Nairitya cone, west-south direction. But at the next step, this takes us to one half of one of the hemispheres in which are manifesting pair of subdirections, that is Ishan cone and Vaiva cone, that is northeast direction and west-south direction. So Sadkhas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic systems, Vedic approach, Vedic comprehension, Vedic reach at the settlement of the transcendental code values of the text of Ganita Sutras 1 as 75 for Sutra 1 and 107 for Sutra 2, then one is to be parallel with as to how the earth revolving around the sun, or sun at the center of the directional frame, will take from Nairitya cone and Ishan cone format to Ishan cone and Vaiva cone format in one of the hemispheres. It is here where we have to be fully conscious as that our solar universe is a dynamic universe. The dynamism of our solar universe is because of sun being in a dynamic state. So sun in a dynamic state and earth revolving around the sun is the phenomenon, is the setup which is going to be chased by Vedas as Vedic mathematics, as basis-based mathematics of Vedic mathematics, science and technology. It is this comprehension which is to be of values which will take us parallel with the existence phenomenon of our solar universe. Let us sit comfortably. Let us concentrate upon the two subdirectional flow from orb of the sun along northeast and west-south directions as Ishan cone of value 33 and as Nairitya cone of value 42, together making a value 75 as the transcendental code value of Ganita Sutra 1. Then at next step, this dynamic phenomenon will take towards one of the hemispheres. So dynamic motion as of this format is from the initial twofold, two subdirectional flow of Jyoti from orb of the sun along Ishan cone and Nairitya cone, northeast and west-south directions. This will, at next phase and stage, at phase and stage of Ganita Sutra 2, as of Transcendental Code Value 107 will take us to one of the hemispheres, and this hemisphere is having partition line, north-south line, and the motion for Ishan cone and Nairitya cone, northeast and west-south directional flow will take to the position of Ishan cone and Vayava cone. Let us sit comfortably. Let us be parallel with this dynamic flow, this dynamic state, this dynamic transition and transformation for the flow from orb of the sun along Ishan cone and Nairitya cone into Ishan cone and Vayava cone in hemisphere with partition line of north-south direction. So this dynamic state from Ganita Sutra 1, Ekadhikein Purve to Niklim Navastha Charmam Dashata, from Transcendental Code Value 75 to Transcendental Code Value 107 is a transition from the north-east direction and west-south direction frame into northeast direction and west-south direction. One shall sit comfortably, and once we will be parallel with this dynamic format, it will at the next phase and stage of Ganita Sutra 3, Udharva Tiryak Bhyam, as of Transcendental Code Value 58, as is the depiction, it is going to be a twofold flow from orb of the sun, from center of the eight directional frame, from the Kendra. It will be towards south and towards the west-south. Therefore, how this sequential dynamic phenomenon is sequentially manifesting as the transcendental code values of Ganita Sutras, beginning with Ganita Sutra 1 as of Transcendental Code Value 75, and at the phase and stage of second Sutra, Niklim Navastha Charmam Dashata of Transcendental Code Value 107, at the next stage of Udharva Tiryak Bhyam, Sutra 3 of Transcendental Code Value 58 happens. It is this happening which is to be continuously chased. In fact, one shall sit comfortably and one shall permit the mind to be parallel with the sequential manifestation phases and stages as are the transcendental code values of the Ganita Sutras. So at each phase and stage, beginning with Ganita Sutra 1, one shall permit the mind, one shall continuously remain in prolonged sitting of trance to comprehend and imbibe the manifestation of the Transcendental Code Value 75 for Ganita Sutra 1. Once we will be parallel with it, once we will be fully imbibing this happening, then we shall continue with fresh sitting, and this fresh sitting of trance shall be that the mind shall be parallel with the transition happening, and the transition from the Ishan Kon and Nritya Kon setup to Ishan Kon and Vaiva Kon setup. Once we are parallel with it, once we will be comprehending it, once it will be imbibed by us, then and only then one shall proceed ahead for comprehension of next phase and stage. Like that, one is to have as many as 16 sittings, and one shall sequentially reach for Ganita Sutra 1, then Ganita Sutra 2, to be followed by Ganita Sutra 3, and it is only thereafter that one shall be parallel with the phase and stage of manifestation of Transcendental Code Value 52 for 4th Ganita Sutra, Pravarte Yojit, and this phase and stage, as is depicted, will be the phase and stage of twofold flow from orb of the sun, from center of the 8-directional frame. It will be towards west and towards the again cone. Like that, one is to be parallel with this. Sadhkas are fulfilled with intensity of urge are hereby impressed upon once again as that one shall be parallel with these 16 phases and stages of manifestation of a Jyoti flow from orb of the sun. This is going to be along a directional frame. Essentially, it is going to be of chatuspeeth format. Within each ray of the sun, there is a chatuspeeth. Means Surya Rashmi is the formulation of Transcendental Code Value 30, parallel with the Transcendental Code Value of chatuspeeth. So this is happening. This is dynamic phenomenon of creator's space, for space. How within creator's space, Jyoti flow from orb of the sun sequentially manifests, and these 16 phases and stages of manifestation are to be comprehended. These are to be imbibed. I am not asking for being through this whole phases of states in one going. In fact, there are going to be as many as 16 sittings. Each sitting shall be of potentials of fully imbibing the manifestation of the Jyoti flow from orb of the sun. Therefore, today I am just taking you through as to how these phases and stages are having their manifestation directional format, and how these phases and stages are interconnected, how these are sequential, and the comprehension thereof is naturally going to be a very, very blissful exercise for each one of us. Sadhkas are fulfilled with intensity of urge shall be sequentially through these 16 phases and stages of 16 Ganita Sutras manifestation. Once one is through these 16 phases and stages, then one shall enter upon the second phase of comprehension, and it is going to be about the manifestations in respect of the Ganita Upsutras. There are 13 Ganita Upsutras, and one is to have 13 distinct sittings, and each sitting shall be sufficiently prolonged so that mind is in a position to be parallel with the respective phase and stage of manifestation of the Ganita Sutras. And it is only thereafter that we will be reaching a stage of having an integrated format of manifestation for the Ganita Sutras and Upsutras. There are 16 sutras and there are 13 Upsutras. These are 29 phases and stages. Value 29 is parallel with the transcendental code value of Brahma, creator, the supreme, four-headed Lord, presiding deity of the fourth space, the overlord of the chatuspeeth. The comprehension of this integrated Sthapatya format of transcendental code values, Ganita Sutras and Upsutras, are of 29 phases. It requires 29 sequential sittings. Each sitting is to be sufficiently prolonged so that mind is fully parallel with the phase and stage of manifestation, say of Ganita Sutra 1, as of 75 transcendental code value, parallel with the twofold flow towards Ishan cone and Naritya cone. It is to be followed by Ganita Upsutra 1, and it is of transcendental code value 42, and the same is parallel with one directional flow along the west-south direction of transcendental code value 42. One shall sit comfortably and be parallel with this organizational format feature as to how the integrated format is in fact bridging the gaps between the consecutive sutras. Sutra 1 as of 75 transcendental code value, Sutra 2 of transcendental code value 107 has a gap, and it is this gap which is filled by Ganita Sutra 1. One may have a pause here and take note that the value 42 as domain will take us to value 40 as dimension. And that is why the Ganita Sutra 2 is phase and stage, which is taking towards one side of north-south direction. The north-south dividing line is of value 16 per 24 is 40. So this separating, dividing line as value 40 is there because of value 42 of Ganita Upsutra 1 as domain is manifesting as 40 as a dimension. And with the manifestation of it, the two-directional flow of Jyoti from orb of the sun along Ishan cone and Naritya cone will have transition into Ishan cone and Vayve cone. See, the value 42 and value 34 are two folds flow from the center, but in opposite directions. It is this dynamic phenomenon feature which is to be comprehended. Let me put it again. Let me impress it again that we shall be very slow in our comprehension. We have to be sequential, and each phase and stage is a requirement for the proper comprehension of this dynamic phenomenon. Sadhkas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic systems. Vedic mathematics as a base of Vedic mathematics, science and technology, chasing the manifested state of our solar universe for the existence phenomenon happening within solar universe. One shall be parallel with this dynamic phenomenon of manifestation of transcendental code values, the Ganita Sutras, step by step. These are sequential steps. These are interlocked steps. The gaps between the consecutive sutras are bridged by Upsutras, and gaps between the consecutive Upsutras are bridged by the sutras. Therefore, one shall be of sufficient patience to have imbibing of this phenomenon. The end reach of it as 29th step will bring us face to face with as to how at the last Ganita Upsutra we are going to be in a state where we will be at the inner fold of the circle. We will be at the inner fold where the values will be 112 parallel with the transcendental code value of Ganita Upsutra 13, Gunit Samuchya and Samuchya Gunita. Let us sit comfortably. Let us be parallel with this phenomenon. Let us give sufficient, patient, transcendental sittings, opportunities for our mind, so that mind is in a position to fully comprehend and imbibe these values. Sadhakas, fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with it, shall approach it with proper respect. Thank you very much.